microphone. I forgot to put on the microphone. Sorry for that. So happy Thursday, everyone. And we are more than excited because the 11th edition has officially been announced. It's coming in June. And yesterday we had an epic, very difficult technical show from Warhammer and Games Workshop. But Jesus Christ, that was huge. It was so much things going on. So I'm Christian Lord here from Vaisla. Thank you so much for everyone subscribing, memberships, all those things. Big shout out, of course, to Alphaspel and Tree of Tales. Make sure to use that discount code also for Tree of Tales to get 10% off. But we have Jonathan Sleigh-Johnson and Emil Söderholm from Team Sweden, multiple champions from these last couple of tournaments. And Jonathan, how are you doing over in Västerås?
I'm doing great, Christian. Excited to talk some 11th edition.
And how are you, Emil? Not much chaos, but maybe happy anyway.
Well, I mean, chaos will come. No, I'm happy. We have been eating good with all of these preview shows and releases, so can't complain.
And big shout out to Killer Match 1, who became a member directly here, and Tom. I don't know what Warhammer is, but I think the WTC is being more than hot here coming in August, where these two gentlemen will compete for Team Sweden, trying to make it a top 3 at least, and maybe this 11th edition just have made it happen. But Jonathan, like, do you feel good? Do you feel nervous? Are you happy an 11th is coming out, or now when it's confirmed?
I mean, nothing's really changed for me because I mean, this was very, very known that this was going to be the preview. I was not very surprised. I think I could talk a little bit about the chaos that ensues when an edition release is this close to WTC. I would call it not ideal because of the amount of work you have to put in. But yeah, I mean, it's always exciting with new changes to the game.
And Emil, what do you think of the art box of this one? Is it some kind of legendary? Is it the second edition or third edition that it plays into? And I mean,
I love that one. Yeah, I looked at it, and before they started talking, because of all of the audio issues and whatnot, so I wasn't really paying attention. I saw it, and I was like, hey, I know that one. And fun fact, that box, that the original box, was the first box that I actually bought with my friends. I contained all of these, like, I don't know, a million Gretchen and everything. And the paper Dreadnought. So that was a nice shout out. It really got my my nostalgia juice flowing.
Yeah, that is, yeah, of course. That's second or third edition. I can't remember.
I think it's second edition.
I think it's the second one. Even having the yellow gun on that Blood Angel, and we do have the Armageddon in the grim darkness of the far future. There is only war. I think that this one will popping the shelves even better than almost any previous edition box.
It's beautiful.
So it is confirmed that it is a Blood Angels orc theme, but of course there is the Ultramarines. I think there is like mention of 4 or 5 different chapters making out once again to the Armageddon planet to fight these orcs invasions. We will see what that actually means, but it is confirmed it will come in June, and that was what the rumors were saying. And to be honest, it seems like many of the rumors were correct. So let's go through it and see where we will end up. If I can click it right, of course, I do it here. So one, maybe it's a bit bullshit, maybe it's cool, but they're trying to bring a unified experience that every battle will be more narrative and every battle will be more balanced. Seems to be that trying to drive the competitiveness and the narrative players more together, because they've been kind of far apart in 10th.
Yeah, I mean, having 2 different game systems with slightly different rules. I mean, it's not the game systems, but you have the tournament companion introducing some shifts in the balance to make it more tournament friendly, and then at the same time catering to everyone that's not using it. It's going to introduce some problems. So I think, I mean, in general, it's a good move. They can focus on everything, but at the same time, you gotta ask yourself, how will this impact, for example, the competitive? They are doing a few changes that we'll be talking about that are both interesting from my perspective, but also can maybe introduce some challenges. But overall, me being like a real nerd of the hobby, I do love this, and I really hope that they pull it off.
I mean,
Jonathan,
I don't think anyone is excited to play on like the neoprene markers on the table. I mean, it doesn't look good, and moving away from that, which is partly what they're talking about, I think everyone can agree is nicer.
I want to remind everyone
uneasy that it gets maybe less competitive. They will get a bit more too lore heavy, so to speak.
I think they're stuck in like the competitive scene currently. They won't be moving away from that. If possible, this will maybe bring in some more, don't want to say casual, but like more narrative-driven players into a competitive scene, because they will find out that the gap isn't that big.
I also don't really believe that there is a gap right now. Like everyone, even the people that play at home in their garage with like beer and pretzels, whatever, uses the tournament companion. Because everyone wants to play a balanced game.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe you can play with Legends units, but most people don't even do that. So I don't know. Like just putting a little bit of narrative into competitive 40K is not a problem, and I think everyone will agree that's a good thing.
And you were saying, Emil, I cut you off there. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right, very, very cool. And I think a lot of the feedback is like it's boring tables. It feels a bit, can we say, flat. It is not so lore-y, and we will see if they will be able to make it a bit more cinematic. I think one of the things that I'm really hyped for is that the codex will still work. So it's not a reset. We don't get broken Eldari indexes. We do get the meta we already have. I guess both of you are pretty happy with that, and for Team Sweden coming into WTC, also somewhat of a relief that a lot of the things you're already playing probably will be viable.
Yeah, I mean, there's still so many things that will change. Like they're talking about updating how scoring works. Like we don't exactly know how that will work, but like it will change what armies are viable. There might be slight rule changes that changes what armies are viable. So, for example, let's say they actually change like how towering works. That will impact how playable CK or IK is in the new meta. So even like small changes will change the meta, I think.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And before we move on and a bit more into maybe how this will work, because actually Games Workshop did release more than at least I anticipated. So it's really exciting to know how the game actually will be, and excited to get it rolling. But of course, make sure to subscribe and follow Vesla here on YouTube. We do have Kings of Saima coming up here in April, Malmö in May, SSG, of course, in Stockholm. Make sure to sign up to that team tournament. For sure, the highlight in the spring. I know we will add a couple more tournaments to this one, probably the Nordic Masters that these two gentlemen will participate in, and also the Alpha Strike 2 happening in June. But let's get back here into the action, because for sure we are super excited to see how this 4th or 11th edition will work out. One of the good parts that will be new is that they revealed 70 new detachments, and as far as I understood it, these will come on release on the 11th. Or how did you read into this one, Emil?
Yes, it seems like at the release we will get 70 new detachments. Not clear if they mean all will be the full size detachments, or some of them will be the small size detachments that you can combine, which we will maybe discuss later. But yeah, we will have a lot of data to digest. This will be a major mix-up. Just look at how the meta is changing with just 1 or 2 new strong detachments. So yeah, especially us before WTC will have our work cut out for us.
I also believe that, well, my interpretation is that all the codex attachments are still there, and these 70 are other attachments. But I do believe that like Grotmas and stuff will go away. So my guess is that some of these 70 detachments will be like revamps of the Grotmas detachments or other detachment that has been released in non-codex forms. I don't think it's going to be exactly 70 brand new detachments. I think a lot of them will draw inspiration.
They did say upgraded for sure with some of these ones, but still really exciting, and we can anticipate that this is a Grotmas Deluxe. Christmas is coming early 2026.
Sure, for sure.
Let me just make sure we are on the right thingy here. We are. Perfect. I think this is the next one. Yeah. So you did speak about it a little bit, Emil, and I mean we don't know too much how this will work, but they have announced that you will be able to play multiple detachments in one army. So I think that for some who are more, can we say, lore heavy and want to have maybe those Iron Warriors squad, maybe they can get the Iron Warrior detachment while the rest of the CSM is having something else or something. We don't know, but I think that this could open up a lot of more varieties into it.
Definitely. I mean, at every time you introduce more options for list building or for the game, you also introduce more complexity. People will find a one or two or more multiple broken combinations here. So again, it will introduce so much variety to the game, which for me, I like it. We are reaching a point where it will be, even for pro players, unfeasible to know and understand all of the combinations in the game. So putting more emphasis on the skills on the actual tabletop and less on the planning. And I kind of like that. As well, my autism ADHD-ish completely love it because I have super short attention span, but I do love to just dig in deep on things. So this will give me a wide variety of things to dive into. But of course, it will have massive implications on the game. Also, that with the next thing coming up, with the objectives of the game changing depending on it, it also will have some interesting implications.
It all comes down to how they do this. Like it's very easy to understand that you want a Deathwing and a Ravenwing detachment in a Dark Ageless army. Like that's very basic. From what I understood, you're not going to be able to mix all detachments with each other. There are special detachments that can be mixed, or maybe you have one main detachment and like a sub detachment or something. Like back in 8th edition, we mixed and matched armies however we wanted, and I don't think that was like, people didn't appreciate that a lot. I don't think that was what they liked about the game. So, and it's definitely not the narrative correct choice. So I doubt that's coming back, but some version of it will.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm maybe a bit worried that it will become, you can abuse the game even more, that there will be just some combos that just spikes, like even without, can we say, Games Workshop attention attention or desire to do that. I think that you can tweak so much more and probably get out things that no one really saw. But maybe that's one of the fun things for you guys.
Well, one of the aspects here is that you have to assume that they have prepared and rewritten the game to accommodate for this. That means that they will probably lean more heavily into unified rules in the keyword section, so that they can control these combinations a little bit more. Also, the better and more solid your core foundation rules are, so you shooting activations, moving, charging, which we'll talk about in the fight phase. All of these things, the less jankiness you have there and the more solid that foundation is, the more options you can build up around it. So my hope here is that they are really, really confident in the core foundations of the game of 11th, like the rules that they have, that they feel like they are able to support this amount of variety around the game.
Yeah, and I hope that also more models, more, can we say, chapters, factions, clans can have a bit more uniqueness. So you bring that in with that attachment, and they can actually feel a very, can say, defined purpose. Of course, we need to go forward to the next one, which is, I guess, it was rumored, it was said, but no more objective markers. And Jonathan, you said you liked it. I think I like it too, but I really hope though that the, can we say, OC part will still stick to be a thing, because I think that's great for the game. Also, I do, as someone like not so experienced players as you guys, it's somewhat tricky to move models when you want to be precise within terrain. But Jonathan, you like this one, and maybe for aesthetic reasons or also for gameplay?
No, mostly aesthetic, but I mean, we don't know what our table setup will look like. Like, imagine you can imagine the GW tables now, and where there are objective markers under the terrain now, those terrain pieces will be objective markers, for example. It's not that hard to like fit it with it properly there. I don't think it's going to be that basic. I think they will revamp their entire battle maps or their like terrain layouts to accommodate this. And I think as long as the terrain layouts are fundamentally sound, like you can hide in your deployment zone, you can stay hidden on objectives on certain maps, it's not going to change that much, is what I believe.
I agree on that. You, Emil?
The combination of this change and the lurking or the cannot be shot if you're inside of terrain with these certain parameters will be interesting to see the impact. And as you say, moving from, and we need to remember objective markers, they're like a little bit of it's like a base. Yeah. And then we have a 3-inch aura around the base. So all of the objective markers that we have seen previously, they're pretty much just there's I guess a 40 mil base with the 3-inch aura around it. So it's not this big button that we usually play with, but that's just less convenience for our sake. So it's an imaginary line. So the options for having more scenic things have always been there. It's just like now they're really enforcing it and changing these terrain things. What I am concerned about here is that we will have, in order for this to be viable competitively, we will have specific terrain pieces that are these objectives, and that might create some complications for them with the layouts. They will be forced to use specific. We will be forced to reuse specific terrain pieces. That will also like be a hobby investment for the people playing at home to make sure that they have an accurate representation of it. So I mean, wise is probably a wise thing or a smart thing from James W to make sure that we actually buy their specific terrain pieces. But as Jonathan
I don't think I agree though.
Oh, and that's okay. We can have different opinions. Let's hear it, Jonathan. What do you don't agree with?
Did you want to finish first, Emil?
Yeah, I was gonna say that this, of course, will, like Jonathan says, have impacts on how the layouts look. Because obviously now you can't, like the center objective was open before on this map, but now when it's actually a ruin, what does that mean? That means maybe with the new rules, you'll be able to hold it without being seen. Will they move it around? Maybe we're moving away from having the center objective markers. Maybe with the new detachment rules giving you specific rules to go in I don't know when we're going to talk about that, but the new way of getting points, maybe that will move away from the need of having objective markers in the sense that we're used to them. Maybe it's going to be something else. But from a gameplay perspective, I think it's very nice. I like the idea of it, and I look forward to see what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, just for the terrain, because the way the terrain has been this edition, I mean, GW has the layout, but realistically, you can play a GW layout using any like plastic base, right? Plexiglass or whatever. I don't think they're going to move away from that. I think the maybe the sizes change. Maybe the size of an objective building is defined as 6x6 square, which is basically a round objective marker, let's face it. So I don't think you're going to have like GW specific terrain, because even their terrain varies so much in how it looks. And yeah, considering mid-range objectives, it will be interesting, because I mean, when we say that objectives with terrain, then everyone imagines a ruin, but it could just be a crater.
Yeah,
hold it up, even.
A little exactly. Wheel on the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. So like, and if this is an objective marker, which is terrain, that's probably something you put that in the middle, you stand on it, you still get shots, right? And nothing has really changed. And even with like this is about the size of an objective marker, so we still don't know exactly what it will mean to have terrain as objective markers. I mean, it's probably going to be a lot of ruins. Let's face it. That's how 40K will probably keep getting played. But the possibilities are bigger than that, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, please, Emil.
Sorry, my point being that if it's just like an area and you're allowed to define the objective marker, what that objective actually is, then someone might have the runes that way, someone has the rune that way, and someone has the crater. So that will, and you will have to unify that if you're running a tournament. So that might be, there will probably be a consensus in the community of, okay, this is how this one is going to look.
Yeah.
I mean, and it might be that with this change, like WTC and UKTC will have to adapt GW terrain layout to accommodate how these terrains pieces look to make the game work properly. And I don't know. I mean, I would bet that that's going to happen, that we get a more unified terrain system, but that will have to be up to those organizers. And even in those cases, I don't think GW will give us 8 layouts for search and destroy. So even then, I think WTC will have to do something with the terrain, the different layouts.
That will be a very interesting situation for both WTC and for everyone competing in that tournament when we have 2 months for not only get them to rebuild all of the layouts, but also for us to adapt it.
That is what has happened in previous editions when the edition changes as well. So there's lots of precedent.
I mean, we can say terrain and interactions with terrain is typically what always happens in editions. Just want to say, make sure to write in the YouTube and Twitch chat if you have some opinions. Yupo is liking that the codexes are staying, but rip the Grotma's demons. Fearless is saying some armies ain't going to be happy with staying with the codexes. I agree with that, but remember, it's many new detachments that can actually give some love to everyone who has been a bit unappreciated here in the 10th. And of course, Martin, I hope there's Monka plus Rampage Groot hunting pack rules. Yeah, we can see for that. But I think this topic for sure with objectives is a huge one. And as you say, we will see how this impacts. What I do like in some way is that the game now maybe won't have primaries, will have a revamped secondary system, and maybe you're not forced to have the game being so similar with these objective markers. You can actually make the terrain from the different type of terrain system works better cinematic, if we can say it like that. But I also agree what you're saying there, Jonathan, is that of course for the game it would be good if it becomes one standard. So it's basically like when you play competitive, everyone has the same, because I do think kind of balancing factions, units with the terrain, I mean, those things go together a bit like StarCraft Brood War. They never updated how the units were. They just balanced the 3 different races through the terrain. But I'm also really worried that Games Workshop will not be able to provide the community with enough good choices, especially for 8 teams. So I think it's going to be really, really exciting times here coming into June and the release, and especially how the WTC will handle that is for sure a discussion we already have. I think the view right now is of course going where the community wants to go, and the thinking is that Games Workshop will type of layouts and terrain pieces will be the way to go. But I'm hoping still that we can find a middle ground, because Games Workshop layouts and terrain pieces are not so great, to be honest.
I mean, I have trust that they will just have better layouts like next edition. They're gonna get better at it.
I mean, they're improving.
It's a lot better now than it used to be.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like.
And I do want to point out a few things before we move on. That it's a theory there might be Protbus detachments. I don't know. I haven't. Yeah. So that's a theory. Also, I think we should also give a shout out to Tom there, who's giving a shout out to my hair. What you missed?
Was it your hair?
Well, I mean, I'm 4th because I don't know. I think
it's was it Christian's hair?
It's not me. I haven't had a haircut for too long, and I do have my hair cutter in the house. I'm just a bad human, I guess. It is what it is when you are in the grim world of the 40k.
And I also think it's worth noting that the community, the tournament organizers for Games Workshop, has been talking about their growing interest in teams. So maybe they will have some new things coming up for that as well.
Could definitely do.
Yeah, I mean, it is exciting in that way that I think 99% of all tournaments are singles, but we do see that, can we say, the community is evaluating teams more and more. It's going to be really exciting to see how it is. I think that teams it's so much more fun than every time we play team. For me, for example, why don't I always play it? It's just hilarious in a way, and so much more nice way of doing 40k. All right, let's jump over to the next point here. Every battle is a story, and I think this is attached to the way that actually as I imagine it being, the secondaries will be somewhat more like kill team, meaning that your detachment choice will have some type of archetype, and with those you get some secondaries that you can play, and your opponent will have an archetype and get some secondaries, and those meld together kind of the mission somehow. Or how do you read into this, Jonathan? I guess we don't really know, but
yeah, I mean, we don't really know. I will say that this is one where I'm a little bit scared, because when we had like faction secondaries previously, it meant that certain armies got a set of like ways to play the game that was very non-interactive.
Yeah.
And I think that the system we have now forces people to like engage in the midfield and actually fight. And if, I don't know, Votan gets a mining detachment that's about sitting in the deployment zone and getting ore, and they score points from that, that's probably going to be less interactive, which is not as fun. So we'll see how this plays out. But I mean, in theory, it's a good thing. Let's see how they execute.
Yeah, and I mean,
in theory, it could be a good thing. So.
Many are asking for maybe the return of the fixed being more prominent in the game. To your point, I'm a bit worried with that you can make a skewed list, you know how you're going to play, and you will always score 70, 80 points, and the opponent cannot do anything about it, and it's almost shaking hands. Yeah. At the same time, should be said that in Leviathan, the Gambit part didn't work out. They came then with the secret mission with the Pariah. That seemed good, but turned out to be really not fun, to be honest. And then, I mean, the 2025, 2026, they discarded the whole system with challenger cards that on the surface could have been good, but completely ruined the game. So that they do a big reset here of how to have primary, secondaries, maybe even removing that. I would like to have 1 to 100, to be honest. I'm just worried that some of these archetypes and missions would be just better and easier to score. And as you say, it becomes very flat and boring. What is your view here, Emil?
I mean, shout out to my old World Eaters faction-specific secondaries where you just send your guys to die and you score points. Again, like it can introduce a massive issue for the game where the balancing becomes so much more about what kind of secondaries that you have available to you than what your actual armor composition do, and it can be a non-interactive game. So that is, I hope they're very well aware of that and that they manage it quite well. I mean, if you it might turn out that the best combination is to have a gun line that's want to sit in the backfield, and that's not fun for anyone. I share Jonathan's concern. I share your concern. I mean, I feel like the secondaries right now, they're in like they have some iterations on them. I feel like they're quite solid. I wouldn't mind them staying. Having this complete revamp. Granted, they're not calling them secondaries. They're not calling them primaries, as far as I understood. They're calling them something else. So there might be a complete overhaul of the system entirely, or we still have these kind of things, but they're skewed in a different way. We don't know. But I would like to see maybe not such a drastic move in this area, maybe more of an iterative change. We will see how it plays out. Again, it will further make the game more complex. You don't not only have to take into account what you're facing, but also what tactical imperative or whatever they were calling it they have, and see how you want to play the game depending on that, which is super interesting if it creates like engaging situations where you do this or you do that, but maybe you don't have any good options and you lose before you start a game, and that's no one wants that.
Yeah, and I mean, I like this part where, let's say, right now, going out and taking 2 of the No Man's Land's objective markers that you force out a bit, like going first, then you will be forced in your second turn to do some actions, otherwise you will lose. But also getting that area denial, forcing out 1 unit in the middle, kind of starts the game. It force you to do something you wouldn't like to do. You do it because of the points. That I think is needed, and it maybe right now is a bit more Warhammer than Point Hammer. I think they reached a good sweet spot on that one. But also having these actions and those things are important for sure, because that makes that you need to have some shaft units. You cannot just have big greater demons. Now I guess they can also do actions, but you get the point. Jonathan, anything last part of this one? Like both of you seems a bit skeptical, but also somewhat excited.
I mean, it's all down to the execution, isn't it? It's hard to know.
Absolutely. All right, let's see here if we can go to the next one, and probably one of the coolest ones in this one. I personally really liked it, and also in the way that they're trying to achieve here. So they're trying to clean up the combat side. Fast rolling, I think everyone is doing that, I assume. But I do like these combat activations, the piling, consolidate, and charge measures. And I think that one part, for example, if you're checking out the Custodes Masterclass from Jesper, one of the things that he believes is the most abusive thing in the game is the pile in and consolidate. Because if you charge with 2 units, you move them in deep, you kill the unit, and then you can swing out with the other unit and go tag a next one, and you can like leapfrog throughout the wall battlefield. It won't really be possible anymore. Or how do you read this one, Jonathan?
Yeah, that's how I would read it. I mean, I think most common word for what you're describing there is cascading. Like you charge 2 units into the same unit, kill it, and then the next one piles into the next one and kills the next unit. And if all pile-ins are at the same time, that's going to be much harder to do. Also, like multi-charges will set up, like if you have 2 Custodian Guard units fighting against the same unit, it's gonna be hard to like get the bases to fit and everything. And honestly, so like it's gonna be more of a cluster F right there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. They've tried to, like in this edition, they tried to make the pile-in and consolidate rules easier. They did do that. Like they did become easier. They were still very abusable, but yeah. So I don't know. I still think there will be some abuse to be done, and the fact this other thing that with the charges, that you roll the charges first and then decide what to charge, I think it's just a massive buff for melee armies, because it lets you gamble without gambling, right?
Yeah,
it's like picking the lotto numbers after you've seen what they are. So like if you hit that 12, then you can like make that long charge. That's going to be way more impactful.
Yeah, I think that to your point, what I like is we go faster, that you make the charges, you move all your units, and as you say, it would be hard to fix, so it can be like a melee nerf, and also in the way that you cannot cascade, as you said. But the charges in the other side makes melee a lot better, because you actually can gamble in a different way. How do you see this one, Emil?
So I see it as bringing more consistency to the fight phase and charge phase, but less impact, and introduces, it will be more complicated for the melee player, as Jonathan mentioned that for fitting all the models. And losing the possibility to cascade and do the movement shenanigans is one of the main strengths of a melee army today, when you can breach a screen. Now you will not be able to do that in the same sense, which will make the counterplay to melee armies much easier to execute. You don't have to layer your defensive in the same way. Now there's a lot of question marks surrounding this, like how do you actually, like there will certainly be situations where you charge multiple units and you end up not being able to fight all of them because of base sizes. Or for example, you have impact hits. Okay, you wipe the thing with impact hits. Now you're not able to reach where you want to go. So the consistency is super nice. Being able to roll the charge and determine the charge target after, just I take that and put it in today's system, that would make melee armies really, really good. Combine that with the console and pile happening at the same time for everything. I'm not sure like what kind of where we end up here. It might actually be a nerf to the melee, but I want to point out that with the introduction, with the introduction of 10th edition, everyone was saying, "Hey, this melee is useless. We can't use melee anymore." Until people figured it out. Yeah. Like, but then we started looking at it, and it was like, wow, melee is really strong with this rule set.
Yeah.
We will see where we're going.
Have they clarified how it works? Like if I charge in, then I get my pile in sub-step or whatever. Does the opponent then does his pile in sub-step and then we fight and then I consolidate and then he consolidates, or how does that work?
I think we don't know.
No.
So it seems to be in the same way that Age of Sigmar works currently. Now I'm not playing Age of Sigmar. This is just what I heard. So I guess
allegedly
we could look at how they do. I don't know where I'm pointing. This direction is Age of Sigmar apparently.
Yeah.
So we need to check what they're doing.
No, but I think that a good part, and I think that hard to say if it's a buff or nerf towards melee armies, but I think at least it's a nerf of feel bad, because one part is that if you're facing a pressure army and suddenly you didn't understand that they could multi-charge and swing forward and suddenly get into something you didn't want them to tag, that would make it easier now. At the same time, missing a charge, I mean, I'm looking forward to be a Blood Angel where I would move out and have one unit within 3 inches and maybe one unit within 9 inches. I roll the 9 as I want. If I miss it, I can go into a secondary target that I really didn't want to do, but at least I get some value out of it. And I think that those parts becomes much more interactive and you feel you have agency on the battlefield rather than just having a dice throw that decides a game.
And I think I like the change of the flow of the game that this will introduce as well. In the way I see it, I think it becomes like a little bit more brawly, and you will probably have these more. I think it will. Yeah, I think it will play into the narrative a bit better. That's just my gut feeling about it.
So I also we don't know, like if you roll a charge, do you have to make a charge move? Say I want to charge those over there, that's 9 away, but I roll a 6. Do I then have to charge something that's 6 away? Or can I choose to remain stationary? Because that could end up really bad. Like you have, I don't know, you have that Rhino over there you want to charge, but the Berserkers are closest, and you only rolled enough to get to the Berserkers. So you have to charge your Pathfinders into Berserkers. Like, yeah, it is so much we don't know, but I mean, it will be interesting to play that.
100%. And we're hitting here about 40 minutes, so we have a bit more. Make sure to add those questions. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this one. Just very quickly also going through the article. Of course, the cinematic. I was, of course, a Blood Angel player. Through the roof. I think that Chaplain looked amazing. We could see those Vanguard veterans. We could see also the land speeder. I mean, Emil, what did you think? I know how much you do love the lore. It was a pretty good one, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. My biggest takeaway, I think, was the orc walker kind of thing that shoots down the land speeder. I didn't get to see that much of it, but I did love the look of that one. And I also think we got a glimpse of the new orc war boss that they teased, which I also thoroughly enjoy. I mean, everything that gives a good crumping, I like. Except Blood Angels. I don't like Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Sitting here with 2 Blood Angel players.
And for you, Jonathan?
Emil not liking Blood Angels is also the stupidest thing ever, because it's a perfect army for him, but he doesn't vibe with it.
No,
it's like,
no vibe.
Oh, I like fast melee armies, but not Blood Angels.
I don't know what you mean.
Anyway, what I was going to say, like just from the rumors we've heard before and from what we saw in this trailer, we can probably expect like new jump pack Chaplain in the box, Blood Angels box, but from what I've heard, there's no Blood Angel specific units, so I would expect this is normal Marine units with like some Blood Angel upgrade sprues in there maybe. But yeah, we got a Blood Angel Chaplain. I heard that there are Vanguard veterans. Like that's the next thing that's going to get upgraded to like Primaris status.
Yeah, I think this one is a Vanguard veterans as I saw it.
Yeah, we saw the land speeder. We saw that Orc Walker. We saw a new Weird Boy, which I'm pretty sure means that we're getting a new Weird Boy model. Or we don't know if it's going to be called a Weird Boy, but it's an Orc Psyker, that's for sure.
Does it mean a new psychic face, maybe? Oh, it did do a lot of things.
It did a lot, for sure. And we can also see that the new intercessors, I think that like it's not a wow, but it's still an upgrade and it looks really slick. I do think that these new orc boys, of course, cool with guns and axes, but he looks a bit, can we say, low IQ.
No orc with low IQ, so I don't know.
He doesn't have enough other orcs around him. He needs more friends, then he gets smarter.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Orc Boy kit is quite old, so obviously that needs an upgrade.
Yeah. I mean, the problem was that you got like the new orcs with like monopoles. You don't want 100 monopoles dudes giving a new orc set. I mean, that's for sure over.
Because we also have the new, they're not called this, but Savage Orcs to compare to, which are just much newer kit, so they look a bit weird next to them.
But I do recommend you guys to go into the Warhammer community part. They also go through very quickly the update of the rules. I think we covered it even better than that, and also in the live show they did add a lot. But I think that 11th edition right now, it's super hot. What were you saying, Jonathan?
No, one other rule change that was interesting is the no stacking of stratagems. The way I read it was it was one stratagem per phase. I think it was. It wasn't per turn. I don't think. The biggest implication here is because you did not stack stratagems that often. Like there were definitely, but I think the
look at Emil. I think that was the only thing he was doing, right?
No, but I think the biggest implication, and I don't know if they will have a rider on this strat to maybe ignore the one per rule, but the CP reroll, right? Because it was quite often you like put a defensive thing on you and then you CP reroll a save later in the activation or CP reroll something in the later. And it's one of the most powerful stratagems in the game, honestly, the CP reroll. So it would be interesting to see if that's still one or none.
I think they mentioned in the broadcast though that if you do a reroll on a charge, for example, then you won't be able to use a stratagem in your offensive in the fight phase, for example.
They did the tank shock example. You're right.
Yeah, and tank shock example. So I think those are good, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, also the bread and butter for a lot of people running forward, shucking a grenade, putting an offensive stratagem on another dude doing something. You won't be able to do that anymore. That will have a major impact.
Unless, because one is shooting phase and one is charge phase, right?
No, but I mean, like if you go grenade and storm of fire on your red
sure, I don't know how we don't know. Is grenade a stratagem in next edition?
Maybe Deathwatch just gets their ammunition types as abilities.
I think that would be cool if you could choose different ammunitions for units for activation. That would be cool for sure. Also, Joel Larsson in the YouTube chat, hello friend and teammate for you guys. He's asking you, Emil, what will you vibe with in 11th edition?
Ooh, okay, so my current vibe is the Defiler, obviously. So unless something else cool happens, the Defiler is going to be my vibe. I mean, just having that guy clank around
on a 200mm base.
Oh yeah, but with the new terrain rules, you won't be able to shoot at it.
Maybe not.
You're actually right. We did miss, as you said, the stratagem, and we didn't really talk about the lurk ability, which I also think is a bit like 40k. And if I understood it, it's also what was in the Maelstrom. So basically, if you place a unit in your deployment and you haven't activated, I guess, like shot or done an action with it, he has like a loan up 15 inches. Like, how do you read into this, then, Jonathan? Do you think it's good? For sure, for, can we say, beer and pretzels, that's nice that in the deployment you just don't put the piece and it's gone because you went second. But it sounds like you can abuse it quite a bit.
I mean, I'm just going to guess it's not going to work on knights. It might work on vehicles, might not. We'll see. I think it working on infantry is fine. My biggest fear is that they're going to see that and they're going to think, oh, we made this change, so we do not need as much terrain in the game as we do now. And that is not correct, because if someone just walks their shooting army 15 inches from you and shoots you to death, that rule didn't matter.
Coming from the Tau player over there.
No, but like...
that way is Tau.
That's Ace of Sigma. Get it right.
Yeah, you have like a bush in the middle and that's it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, exactly.
I hope they still realize they need it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I like the flavor here if it's adapted to infantry sitting in a terrain in your deployment zone. I get that. I can vibe with it, unless it also negates indirect, because one of my Fortress teams is going to do that. But it will, of course, introduce you will reduce alpha striking, which I guess is its purpose. But we need to understand a little bit more of the nuances here. For example, they just said shoot, but maybe you probably if you move outside, are you wholly within your detachment deployment zone, or could you just put your guys onto the objective in your in your deployment zone, and then they are just completely safe forever.
Yeah, I also assume you have to be within terrain of something, because that's what this is, isn't it? It's like hiding in terrain.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're talking infantry wholly within terrain in your deployment zone, that's probably fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Agreed. Yeah, we will see how that one turns out. Also see here Arsonos grenade strat from the infantry, then storm of fire from the tank will work. I think it's limiting to one strat per unit per phase. Yeah, I think so too.
That could potentially be.
And we see here also from Hamtaren, units are also supposed to be easier to hide now. Finally, the death of the true line of sight. I think true line of sight and all those things is one of the most controversial things, and 40K have had so many different rules. I guess we will see, and a bit like how you two described it. It's always a bit feel bad when you put down that like small scout unit and suddenly they can find a small angle and you just lose it. I think those things are feels bad. At the same time, I'm a bit worried that you can abuse it and it becomes like on the other side of it.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I honestly, since they introduced the clear base ruins, that true line of sight hasn't been a thing, has they? Because like we have since obscuring true line of sight disappeared, so it hasn't actually been true line of sight for 2 editions now, and I don't know if they're gonna move you more away from that. We'll see what they.
And I mean, they need to. It's completely impossible to balance a game around true line of sight. You need to have these kind of rule sets to make sure that we're on a level playing field.
Yep. So, I mean, 11th edition coming out in June. We will talk a little bit about it, but they also revealed a shit ton of things that will come before 11 come out. So let's just skim through it very quickly here. It is called the Armageddon. I think it was a really, really cool trailer for that one. The War World is for sure this epic Wastaka Gutsmech. I mean, if I would buy one first unit ever, I think this is a model I would just go for. It's epic and cool. What do you say, Emil? Jonathan.
That's what I just want to know. Like, what is how tall is he? Is he like? Is that the top of an armature? Is it like? I don't know.
I love that model. I love him. It's so dynamic, and yeah, it's just. I mean, man, these models are getting really, really wild. Credit to the model guys. Like, this is
one of the coolest models they probably have done, and I do think that the models are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger bases. I think that's also one of the things that they're trying to maybe balance or imbalance in the game. We will see what the rules will be, but I think that for sure team captain of Finland, Johnny, will love that the Cult of Speed is getting some love here because they are struggling right now. We have seen Commissioner Garrick, of course, a big piece in the lore and something that they're building up here with the narrative going to Armageddon. We see him being back, return from death. I think it's still a very similar model, but a cool model. We will see how impactful it will be. But Astra Militarum, they got a lot. Anything to comment on that one, Jonathan?
Not on Yarrick specifically. I assume the tanks are in here as well. I'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have the Commissar Graves, and I just want to say, what the cool steampunk. And I mean, this one, when you charge, it must do so many mortals.
This is what I feel, because this is 40k to me. Like, this is a very 40k coded vehicle. It's like what should I compare it to? I don't know, like the Triumph of Saint Catherine, like this ridiculous thing. Like, why would they bring all the shit to war? And it's kind of like the same here. Like, why do you need a vehicle that you can stand on top of to point your sword forward? But that's what makes 40K cool, right? So I think this very much fits the theme of 40K in a cool way.
I mean, I love flags. Can't go wrong with a big flag.
I mean, it looks like some artwork from a metal band album, and I mean, here we come. It looks super cool. Also, new Inquisitor, Coroil. I think this is this a unit that have existed, or is it completely a new one?
Completely new.
So we will see what will happen with that Inquisitor for sure. Jonathan, for you, the Sisters coming here with a really cool piece. What do you make of it?
I mean, I like it. I think it's a cool, nice model. I think it draws a little too much inspiration from Unit, honestly. Like, it feels the same way. She has a hover platform. This is more of a Karamazov or whatever that Inquisitor is called vibe to it. But it's I think it's too much like Unit, honestly. I mean, a cool model and everything, but like, yeah, it just feels a bit samey to me.
I'm having a hard time with these throne kind of things. I think they look a bit goofy.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure they'll find a way to make her OP like all sister characters are.
I mean, allegedly she leads Mortifiers, which is something they need. So I think that's cool. That also explains why she looks the way she looks, because this is like a Mortifier chassis.
I mean, she will probably be, like, when you look at it in person, she will probably look really, really cool.
I think so too, and also if you have the opportunity, check out the Warhammer TV show that came with the third edition, I think yesterday, or episode about the Sisters. It was a pretty cool one, I would say. But something I don't know, like how to even say, but these Astra Militarum vehicles, I just feel like in some way it feels like a toy from the 80s. At the same time, it's so much Warhammer 40K. I think that I just love these models that are coming out, and I think I don't know if Astra needed more, but I think they're filling some spots in the army, right?
I think these look like shit.
Really?
I think they look like a plastic toy I had, maybe in the 80s, even though I was 2 years in the 80s when the 80s ended. But like, I'm controversial take. 40K vehicles shouldn't have wheels; they should have tracks. It's not a wheel thing.
But it got both.
Yeah, but this one is okay because it has both. But if we scroll down to the other two,
to the Hippogriff,
this looks like a tank they would have in the American military. It's like army men or whatever, and I just don't think it's 40K at all. I think I think it's a miss. I think it looks fine as a model, but I don't think it's just 40K.
I think I might be, I don't know if I'm getting the time period wrong or something, but I'm getting like Vietnam feelings out of these things. I mean, maybe it's painting, but I kind of like that, like aesthetics as well. If you want to build an army around it, I can see how someone would want to have a Astra army themed around this. I mean, that's one thing I like with the Astra Militarum is that you have so many different options in how you want to theme your army, and this just gives more options to it. I can, of course, yes, they look like toys, but isn't everything toys here?
I think
but it's
so.
Cooler than toys. Also, maybe this would look less like a toy to me if they were not painted green. Because it's that, the army green of the army men's you had as a kid. You bought the little pack. Yeah. I think it's too much of that. And maybe if it wasn't painted green, maybe I wouldn't feel that way. So
I mean, paint them in the same scheme as the lady's car.
Yeah.
It looks super cool. Yeah. Like make it dystopian fascist police army dudes. Like everyone loves. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm hyped, and I think that it's cool that Astra got so much. To be honest, they also got a kill team. We can see here also that the last part now for the can we say narrative campaign is the Armageddon, the Return of Yarek. One thing to point out is that we are getting 6 new vehicle-focused detachments for Astra, Orcs, and Space Marines. So once again, these additions will impact the game quite a bit. I would say that the ones that we already have gone for example, CSM, for Votan, for a couple of the other armies, have impacted the game quite a bit. So I'm excited for it. You were saying, Jonathan, not Space Marines again.
No, we don't need more Space Marines, especially not in addition to the new Gilliman that's rumored. So we'll see.
Iron Hands 2.0. Hey man, anything that makes Hasta move away from recon, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, it is tradition that at the end of every edition there is an imbalanced Iron Hands detachment. So I guess it's time. It's time for 9-inch an enhancement called the Adamantium Stone. That's a 9-inch aura of -1 damage on vehicles. Let's go. Stacks with the Redemptor.
Don't give them any ideas.
It's been done.
A really cool battalion box, and I mean this one will sell. I can tell you that. Like, I think people will just buy it. As always with the sisters, is somewhat of a meh one, but maybe this one is a good if you are an aspiring sister player, Jonathan.
It's like Repentia and Paragon. It's a weird mix of units. I mean, the thing is, if you don't have any models for an army, you might as well get it. Then the battle forces are good as well. So, yeah.
And we do have one for the Death Watch. Seeing some love here, Emil. What's your comment on this one? It's I think two of the new kill teams, and then I actually don't know what the vehicle it is.
I don't know, like a Black Star Death. Black Star, I think it's called. No,
yeah, Black Star. Corvus Black Star.
But yeah, I talked a little bit about this before. This box actually makes me a little bit nervous because with this book they will release new updates to things, and last time they released new update to things, we lost access to a beloved model, Calgar, with his guys. Now,
beloved.
This kill team is a remake of the Death Watch veterans. We might actually be looking at a Death Watch veterans being legend with this release, and that's not good at all.
That will nerve
so
you.
I'm a bit nervous, but as a box, I mean, if you want to start Death Watch, this is like the only place to get actual Death Watch models. So, and if you don't want to put down, I don't know how much for the kill teams, so it's good. The plane is useless, but. Yeah,
maybe it get played soon, and then we have some Death Copas. Those are really, really cool, and some other cool orc vehicles. I think that check out also, as I said, the new kill team for Astra, and also I think the red something cool for, I believe, Nids.
Red Terror.
Red Terror. Yeah.
Is that the Nids one, or is that like some sub faction or?
No, it's a Nid one. It's an old epic hero that used to exist that disappeared for a while.
Very cool. We will try to sum this one up now. We have 2 minutes left of Jonathan's time. Maybe we can steal 1 or 2 more minutes of that one. But how hyped, Emil, are you to play 11th? And will you start to play 11th today based on this information? Or how do you see this one? Do we have enough? Because they released quite a lot of information, though.
I'm gonna have Ango say, "Let's fucking go!" I'm very hyped. I always love new things coming in, and I mean, if they deliver on everything here, it will be amazing. Of course, maybe not, but I'm hyped.
And for you, Jonathan, is it 11th on now?
I love
or
edition changes. It's gonna be cool. We definitely don't know enough to start playing. I hope more things come out fast, so we can start using. I hope the base rules come out pretty fast, so we can start playing the base game. And maybe not all the detachments will be correct, but getting used to the base as soon as possible would be nice.
Yeah, and in the YouTube chat, Joel have given some insights also probably to these changes with the hide part and so on is to adapt to the Games Workshop layout. Let's see if this Wastaka is taller than Nightbringer and who can see over a container the most. I think that's a very good point. We also have Are, as someone who has only played 10th edition, is the combined detachment thing in any way indicative of soups or allies from other factions?
So my initial take is not that it's going to be allies. It's that you have maybe 2 different Space Marine detachments. Like, I think the example given in chat earlier is like, maybe the Kroots in your Tau army have their own detachment because they don't really fit Montka or whatever. Or maybe the Phobos Marines in your Marine army has a different detachment than the rest of the stuff.
Very, very cool. So, thank you so much for joining in this one. Maybe we can have one last conclusion of this conversation of the 11th edition coming out in June, and Warhammer 40k is more hot than ever, we can say that. I think for sure, make sure to check out Alpha Spell, of course, and get those minis ready for the 11th edition. And we will see these last models here coming out here during the spring. And of course, big shout out to Trio Tales supporting Vesla and Team Sweden and the community of Warhammer 40k. Get those tokens, battle boxes, use the Vesla code for 10% discount. I mean, I just want to say, I want to play 11th right now. Like, I asked it before, but Emil, is it possible to play 11th? Like, is it time to change the fight rules based on this one, or should we stay with 10th?
No, not nearly enough. I'm not going to let Emil answer this.
Calma. Let's wait a bit. But yeah, I mean, we can start. There will be people theorizing about it. There will be people looking at it. But yeah, just let's enjoy the process.
And we do have like an interior release of this edition left to play, which is hopefully going to shake it up a bit. So
yeah,
Defilers.
Defilers, and I actually think that we will release a Defiler episode here in next week with some of those insights of that cool masterpiece. We don't know yet the points. I think that's one of the challenges here, but for sure it's one of those centerpiece for any Chaos army going forward here in the spring, as the model is soon coming up for order. I think many are hyped for it. I'm at least more hyped than ever for Warhammer 40k. We do know now, finally, the 11th edition is coming in June. We will see the WTC with these 2 gentlemen and Team Sweden playing it in Mechelen, Belgium in August. And I think that would be one of the first tryouts on how this 11th edition can be mastered. Like, Jonathan, you played many new editions. How long time do you think it takes for you as a player to adapt to a new one? I guess it's a very open one, but do you see that typically within 3 months you do kind of master it, or does it typically take a year?
I mean, it takes longer than whatever time we'll have for the WTC. Like, what happens at WTC every year when a new edition is released is that no one will get the 8 armies correct. If you get 6 to 7 out of 8 of the strongest armies, you're happy. Like, that's good. But you're not going to get it all correct. There's going to be nuances of stuff in the rules that you have missed, like abuses you haven't found yet, stuff like that. So, but also, like, the most broken stuff will be found before WTC for sure.
Yeah, it will be big cooking time during the summer for sure. And Mr. Angron, Emil, you can close it out. What is your last words about this big release we had this night?
No, what's been said before. I'm super hyped. It will be a very, very interesting summer. Really looking forward to digging into it. And like, come with WTC, we won't remember 10th, but we will still be overloaded with information. But we won't remember 10th. I think that we will be so indulged in whatever 11th has to bring. No, I'm looking forward to it a lot.
So thank you so much, Emil and Jonathan, for taking the time here on the first day. Happy first day, we can say, lunch. I hope you guys liked this show, and I think that joining in on the Vesla Discord, I think many speculation and conversation will happen here over the next couple of days. We also think that in May it will be another big reveal show from Games Workshop, and then we have the 11th edition coming out in June. So stay tuned, get excited, get the paint on those minis, and get on the battlefield. See you soon.